Hi friends, I'm Felicia. Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be doing my July wrap up. I read 13 books in July, so that's pretty good. Quite a few of them are on audio, but it's all good. That's how I read so much. I listen to audiobooks at work. So the first book that I read was The Circle by Dave Eggers, and I listened to that on audio. It was narrated by Dion Graham, and that was our June pick for our Reads with Friends group. I think I read most of it in June and then I finished it in July. Beginning of July. It has recently been made into a movie starring Emma Watson and Tom Hanks and John Boyega and other people. But yeah, so it's a story about a girl who starts to work for this big, huge corporation, kind of like Google and Apple and Microsoft, like all smashed together, I guess. So you can imagine just like with the technology and this big whole group, it's like groupthink and technology, and basically I was really bored. I didn't like the main character at all. She just was kind of like a potato. She didn't do anything. She just agreed with people. She didn't think for herself except for when she got really mad. Then she just thought about how stupid everyone was and like what was wrong with all the people that she was mad at, and like she's the most perfect person and everyone else sucks. That was really the only emotion she ever felt. Yeah, she just was really not likable. The story was really repetitive and it felt like it was going in circles. Like the same thing just kept happening. It was just, ugh. I didn't enjoy it. I wouldn't recommend it. I want to watch the movie. I think it would be much better as a movie. And you know, Emma Watson and Tom Hanks are in it, so it can't be terrible, right? So I'd like to watch the movie, and then if the movie's good, I'll tell you if I recommend that over the book. Yeah, I don't like the book at all. The next book that I read was The Smell of Other People's Houses by Bonnie Sue Hitchcock. I actually listened to it on audio, and I liked it so much that I saw it on Book Outlet a couple days later, and I was like, yes, I'm going to buy it. So the narrators for the audiobook are Georgiana, I'm not sure, Georgiana Marie, Aaron Tripp, Carissa Vacker, and Robbie Damond. And like, I can't read my own writing. What the heck? It's not even bad. I just can't read it. Yeah, so it follows these 4 teenagers in an Alaskan community and just kind of how their lives become intertwined, and the things that they are dealing with in their lives. This was really good. This made up for how crappy The Circle was, because this was really good. The audiobook was really good. The narrators did a good job. And the story was just beautiful. The writing was just really good. It was really beautiful. And you know how sometimes the books will start off with like a kind of gimmick thing that you're like, oh, this is really cool, and then they don't continue on with it for the rest of the book. So like this one, she spends a lot of time describing smells, because it's the smell of other people's houses. It's in the title, right? And so she starts off the book describing a lot of things with smells, and she actually keeps it up throughout the whole book. So I was like, well done. That's awesome. You actually stuck with your gimmick that you started off with. But yeah, the writing was really good, and I really enjoyed it. I buddy read it with Amy from Amy C Books. But she was reading it physically, and I listened to it on audio, and I finished it in like a day. So yeah, or 2 days. But yeah, it was really good. I really enjoyed this book. I would really recommend it. The next book that I read was another audiobook, and that was The Space Between the Stars by Anne Corlett. I actually was approved for it on NetGalley, and then I didn't finish it in time. I got a little, like 30% into it, and then I decided to listen to the audiobook once it was released, and I just started from the beginning and listened to the whole thing. It was narrated by Mary Woodvine, and I don't know, I didn't really enjoy her performance. I just felt kind of blah. I don't know how to describe it. It just didn't do anything for me. And this is a story that had a lot of promise for me. It sounded, you know, similar to Station 11. It follows a woman who is on a faraway planet from Earth, and she's very isolated, and there's a virus that basically goes through the whole galaxy, I guess, and kills like most of the people. So she's alone on this planet. Like everyone that she lived with in her community, or yeah, they all died and she was the only one that made it, and so she's on a journey to try and find other people and make her way back to Earth. There was a lot of promise in this book, the premise and the story, but it just felt really flat for me. The writing was good, but at the same time I wish it had been a little bit stronger. This is a debut novel, but I feel like it could have been a little bit better, I guess. The thing that I really hated about this book was that the religious people were the villains, and they were absolutely horrible, and they were just really overbearing, and like you can tell that the author hates people that believe in God, because there were a couple people that were religious and they both just really sucked in different ways, and I did not like that at all. It really was kind of offensive to me, actually, and that's one of my most hated things. Like, okay, not everyone that has a religion and believes in a god sucks, so I didn't like that, so I wouldn't really recommend it. If you were interested in it, then go ahead, but I didn't think it was that great. It was just kind of disappointing. It was disappointing for me, but maybe I had built up my hopes a little bit too high. But yeah, just kind of was like, kind of how my reading month went. It was like, wee, boo, 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 boo. But yeah, the next book that I read, or the next book that I finished, was Living from the Heart Jesus Gave You. But like, this book is hard to find online. I think it's called The Life Model if you search for that. But Living from the Heart Jesus Gave You, and it's written by a team of people that work at a counseling place called Shepherd's House, I think. Or maybe it's The Life Model. I'm not sure. Hang on. I think it's the Shepherd's House. Yeah, and The Life Model is a curriculum that they've come up with, I guess. But anyways, so this is a Christian non-fiction book. Yeah, it's written by a team of counselors, and talks about how you can go from a place of brokenness and like emotional immaturity, and how that really affects you in all areas of your life, and then the things that you need to do, the different levels that there are of maturity, and how you can grow in maturity, and like what you need to accomplish to move to the next level and stuff like that. And like, it's written for counselors and people like that, like probably people in leadership roles in the church and stuff, and it's really good. It has a lot of really helpful information. Like, I would really recommend this to anyone that's working in counseling, or like working with troubled people, I guess, because this has a lot of information that you could use just to help people and kind of help them to grow, I guess. So I really liked it. Like, it is really dense material. There's 5 chapters or 6 chapters, but it's like a lot of material to get through. It's very dense. But yeah, it's really good though. So if you're looking for something like that, I would recommend it. The next book that I read was The Vinyl Cafe Unplugged by Stuart McLean. This is book 3 in the Vinyl Cafe series, and as usual, it was very delightful. I love Dave and Morley. They're the best. If you guys have not read these books, you really should. It's just like a slice of life stories, I guess. And it follows Dave and Morley, a married couple, and mostly Dave, but yeah, Morley also. And they have 2 kids, Sam and Stephanie, and they live in Toronto, I think. Dave owns a music store called the Vinyl Cafe, and it just follows them in their hijinks and their crazy neighbors and just the things that happen to them, and it's just so funny and heartwarming, and my heart just feels so good always. So yeah, and I started reading it on Canada Day because I thought it would just be so appropriate for the holiday, and it was. Next book that I want to talk about is The Stargazers and Deceived by Eleanor Lorman. Apparently that's a tongue twister, and this is actually an ARC that I got from the publisher, so thanks to May Apple Press for providing this to me. Yeah, I actually requested it on NetGalley, and then I got that, and then the publicist for this book reached out to me and was like, would you like a physical copy also? And I was like, yes, please. It's like a very literary fiction take on alien abductions. It's very interesting. It was about a woman, her name is Julia, and her mother was someone that was very into aliens and abductions and like looking for aliens in the sky all the time and stuff like that, and like always looking for UFOs, and that's just how she grew up. Into her adult life even, it just is something that like goes with her every day, and she's just trying to like block it out because it was very traumatic for her. Yeah, so she's just trying to ignore it and move on, and then it just follows her. She meets this guy named John, and he has a connection to this kind of world as well, I guess. And so this book was just really interesting because it's totally set in our world in our time, and there are aliens also. So it was just really interesting, and it was really well written. This cover is just really bad, like bad Photoshop job. But the book was actually really good. If you're into sci-fi, I think this is an interesting one to pick up, just because it's a totally different take on sci-fi and aliens. So yeah, I did a really bad job describing it, but don't go on Goodreads and read the summary because that will spoil things that happen only halfway through the book. So just don't do it. Just trust me, it's good. It's about aliens and people, and it's good. I'm really good at describing things, guys. So I did read more books, but those were all for Booktubeathon, so they are or will be in my Booktubeathon wrap-up video. I'm not sure if that's going to go out before this one or not. But yeah, if you want to know my thoughts about those, then you can watch that video. Yeah, I'm not even going to tell you which ones. You have to watch to find out. Yeah, so that's all that I'm going to talk about in this video. Thank you very much for watching, and until next time, so long, and thanks for all the fish.